What is going on, everybody? I'm back today to talk about a film that just released. I saw the Thursday night premiere in my area, and I was really excited to watch this movie because I'm a huge fan of the director, Emma Seligman's first film, Shiva Baby. It's one of my favorite films of the decade so far. I thought it had absolutely brilliant performances, especially the performance from Rachel Sennott, who is also in this movie, and she was phenomenal in Shiva Baby. That movie created great atmosphere. It had amazing tension, great character development. It's such a phenomenal film for a directorial debut. And so when I saw the trailer for this, tonally it's very different. It's much more of an overblown comedy, but it did look like it was also saying something larger through the trailer, which made me look forward to it quite a bit. And the movie I'm going to be discussing today is Bottoms. Bottoms is directed by Emma Seligman. PJ and Josie start a fight club as a way to lose their virginities to cheerleaders. The fight club gains traction, and soon the most popular girls in school are beating each other up in the name of self-defense. But the pair find themselves in over their heads and in need of a way out before their plan is exposed. So, as I said, I was a huge fan of Emma Seligman's Shiva Baby. I thought it was an absolutely phenomenal film, and so I was really looking forward to watching whatever her follow-up was going to be because I just thought it was phenomenal. And I'm pleased to say Bottoms is an absolutely wonderful time. It is so much fun. It is a fantastic film that has a lot of great comedy, some really fantastic performances, and went in a couple of directions that I really did not expect. It gets very overblown and absurd in a way that I really appreciate a lot. So the plot to this film is really simplistic. Introduced to PJ, played by Rachel Sennott, and Josie, played by Ayo Edebiri, who Ayo Edebiri is one of my favorite actresses right now. Between her performances in The Bear and also in Theater Camp this year, just an absolutely phenomenal actress. I'm also a huge fan of Rachel Sennott. So there are two lead actors in this movie. They're best friends, and they are both queer women. And at the beginning of the film, we get a little bit into their backstory as friends. They grew up together, and they're essentially bored in their lives at school. They call themselves like the talentless gay kids. It's really funny. The self-aware humor in the movie. They want to date, they want to get themselves out there, but they're only interested in what they say are the hot women in the school. And the two girls that they're interested in are both cheerleaders. They're really close friends. And so they're trying to figure out a way to get close to these cheerleaders. Well, through this certain set of circumstances, they decide the best way to do it, because this big football game is coming up. There's all this talk of people being able to defend themselves. So they decide to start a women's self-defense class, which is they essentially call a fight club. And they need to get a sponsor to get the fight club set up. And they get their teacher, played by Marshawn Lynch, to sign off on it. And all of these girls in the school start to come to the fight club, but the two girls that they're interested in don't show up the first day. Finally, they end up coming to the club, and at the same time, you have the football jocks who don't want their club to exist. They're very pushbacky about all of it. And so a lot of the film is the tension between those groups. It's about the interpersonal dynamics between these characters. It's about what their motivations are versus what the club actually accomplishes. And the movie is really funny, but it's also saying something really important in multiple moments in the film, which is something that I really appreciated about it a lot. I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I feel like the beginning starts off a little rocky. Maybe it's just because I'm old, but like some of the humor early on in the film didn't land for me as much as when it really started to take off. But our two lead performers are so charismatic, they're so charming, they're so incredibly talented that it is impossible not to just get sucked into this world and care for these characters and what they're doing. Obviously, the premise is this fight club. It does get very violent in the movie in a way that is really hilarious. I appreciated that they didn't hold back from the violence. There's a lot of absurdist caricatures, especially when it comes to the football players. They are always in their football jerseys, but not just the jerseys. They're in the full pads while they're in the school, which is absolutely hilarious. And what I really like about the way Emma Seligman approaches this material, and Rachel Sennott actually co-wrote the script with Emma Seligman, and what I really appreciated about this movie is there's a lot of social commentary, and the way that it's explored never feels like ham-fisted or dumb. It's very poignant to our society. There's a moment where they like joke about how they have to sit down and get to know these girls, otherwise, you know, the club's gonna blow up, and they want it to mean something more. And PJ and Josie, they don't really care at that moment. They're more concerned with just getting with the girls that they want to get with, but the other girls in the group are really being personally impacted by this, and they're feeling this sense of togetherness and belonging. And so they have this sit down together, and there's this conversation about sexual assault that occurs during it. Part of it is played off as a joke. The way that it's delivered feels like a comedic joke, but it's also incredibly thoughtful in the way that it's examined. And I don't want to explain the scene perfectly because of the way that it plays out, but I think little scenes like that Emma Seligman incorporates throughout the film really pack a huge emotional punch, because they are very relative as to what people go through on a day-to-day basis. And obviously, this being a film predominantly focused on members of the queer community, you have that throughout the entire runtime of the film. But I love that they were able to cover a multitude of different topics. Obviously, the toxic masculinity is examined in this in a very goofy and silly and overblown way that never takes itself too seriously, which is what I really appreciate, because then it's even more thoughtful in that way when you're watching it and it's incorporated in this really silly, overblown comedy, that they're able to also say something really important. And, you know, being that this is coming out in the year of Greta Gerwig's Barbie, that took this big property that everyone knows about, and Greta Gerwig was able to work in the confines of this corporation to say something incredibly important about women. And I thought movies like this that are able to use comedy as a vehicle to say something larger is really great. And despite having moments that say really powerful things throughout the film, it's just really funny, and that's what I appreciated. I love going to a movie that constantly makes me laugh. Whoever casted Marshawn Lynch in this movie, what a phenomenal decision. He is pitch perfect. Some of his dialogue delivery in this is just so absurd and out of left field. There's some things on screen that are so almost surreal that when you're watching it, that it's just like, this would never happen in real life, but the way they incorporate it into the world, you're just like, okay, this is happening, and you're just laughing along with it because of how ridiculous it is. And I think it captures that essence of the uncomfortable part of being a teenager and being in high school, while also, you know, being the queer kid in school. As someone who didn't come to terms with my sexuality until my mid to late 20s, it's uncomfortable even in that age group. And I grappled with feelings when I was younger, but like never explicitly came out and said like, this is how I feel about myself. And so watching a movie where people are openly out and just navigating that world of high school, where the movie doesn't focus on like the challenge of being the queer kid, it's more like they're less concerned with that. They make a joke at the beginning of the movie about being the talentless queer kids, and that's the part that they struggle with the most. And I thought that was really funny. And like I said, I think it's cool when you can have a film that is an overblown comedy that covers topical issues that are incorporated in a way that doesn't feel sloppy or dumb. They just fit perfectly in at the confines of this simple hour-and-a-half long film that has really fantastic performances. There's some really nice emotional beats through it as well. Not only the actors, but Emma Seligman's direction really works well in conveying these interpersonal relationships in a way that's really charming and fun, and made me want to go back and watch it again sometime very soon. And I really enjoyed this movie a lot. If you're looking for a fun comedy that has moments throughout that say something larger than just being a goofy comedy, I think you'll really enjoy Bottoms. It was a really great time. So have you seen Bottoms? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was an absolute blast. I had a ton of fun with it, and I'm really looking forward to watching it again in the future. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.